Micro stands for microbes, and so we work with microbes like fungi and bacteria. And MGX is the name of our platform for discovering new chemicals that are made by microbes. And so we have a whole process where we'll go through and look at the genomics of a bacterial strain and the chemicals made, which are called the metabolites. And we put that knowledge together in a computer and use bioinformatics after we've grown the microbes and we've isolated them and then fermented them to make more of them. So there's a lot of wet lab work, but at the end we use bioinformatics and statistics to figure out which of these chemicals that are made are number one, new, so brand new, no one's ever heard of them before, and number two, which ones are bioactive and can help us, either with medicines or animal health, or as we talked about today, agriculture.
Okay, where does this fit into agriculture? Where do all of these products, how would a farmer use them?
So there's a lot of what they call biologics being looked at by farmers now. Most of the biologics are live organisms that are out there, that microbes or that will grow, or fungus that grows and actually has an activity that's helpful to the plant, either by making it grow faster or protecting it from an insect or whatever. We focus on the chemicals being made, and so it's just a chemical like any other chemical, but it's made naturally. And so a farmer that uses a herbicide right now like Roundup or Liberty or dicamba, the same process, exactly the same, but they would use ours. It's naturally made and it has a new mechanism of action. First one in decades. And so that new mechanism of action will beat the weeds that have become resistant to the more popular herbicides. So if they're spraying popular herbicides and the weeds are still growing, they've got herbicide resistance. And so ours may be the answer.
The corn that you would be spraying is certainly tolerant of this. The weeds, though, they're going to get a hit.
So corn that grows, if it's tolerant, it's not because it's naturally tolerant to, let's say, Roundup. It's because they've put a genetic additive or a GMO, genetically modified organism, so that the corn now can resist glyphosate. So ours is a brand new chemical. No one's built that the genetics for crops to resist, to be able to tolerate ours. But we have the gene for that. So if you want to do that, you can go ahead and put our gene into your crops so that it'll be tolerant. And then we kill mainly broadleaf weeds. Now we're also very good in that we don't injure grass-like plants. So cereals like oats, wheat, barley, we don't injure those. And so we can spray on top of those and still injure and kill and control the broadleaf weeds.
It sounds like the EPA would take 10, 15 years to study this before it says okay.
Well, the EPA has really strict guidelines on synthetics, and so you start with that being the hardest of the worst. It doesn't take 10 to 15 years, but it does take 5 to 7 years to get through all the tests. You have to test it on mammalian cells. You have to test it on all kinds of plants. What does it do in the soil? So all that testing has to occur before you get registration. But there's a lot to do before you launch anyway. So it's done in parallel. So we're also doing going to have to do a lot of tests in the greenhouse, and then many tests in small and then very large field trials. And you want to do it in different environments with different crops and different weeds. So a lot of testing has to occur so you know what market it fits and where it's safe and where it's not safe.
Since this is a biological product, it seems like EPA might be a little bit more amenable to accepting it a little quicker.
Right. So the worst case is the synthetic chemical. We can make ours as a biological, and by that meaning we manufacture it by fermenting it. And we talked about today all the fermentation capacity here in Champaign, right? So it's great, and it's growing, and we're right in there. We're already there doing projects with them. So we want to be able to find the cheapest, most effective, and the quickest way of fermenting this up so that we have plenty of this herbicide for low cost. Now, we're not there yet, but we just invented it. So we're getting there. And I think we're going to have a very reasonable cost herbicide that is deemed a biological because it's produced through microbes and not through a synthetic chemical plant.
Do you have any timeline when you think it might be available for application by
Right.
farmers?
So a lot of farmers volunteer to do experimental crops. So that will probably be in 3 to 5 years. 5 to 7 years, we'll probably have it out there on the marketplace. So 2031 or 2032 would probably be ready to launch. Around the world, actually. We're planning on a global capability.
Cost competitive with other herbicides?
We hope so. It's not there yet. We hope so. The main thing is, to me, is the cost has to be low enough so that it makes sense to use it. But it doesn't have to beat the cost of, let's say, glyphosate if the reason you're using it is to kill weeds that glyphosate doesn't kill. Right? Nothing's killing it right now, so you need something that does. But we certainly want to make it as cost effective as possible for the farmer, because I know the trade-offs are tough, and they need the ROI to be able to choose to use a herbicide.
All right, so goodbye waterhemp and goodbye Palmer and those types of things. It could spell the end of them.
From the slides you saw today, you can see that we're having pretty good control on waterhemp, Palmer amaranth, horseweed, pigweed, and morning glory, and wild mustard. And so we're having, most of the broadleafs, we're having a very good effect.
If farmers wanted to kind of follow this and track where you are, where would they find information about MGX?
So
MicroMGX.
that's a great question. So MicroMGX is a small startup built for discovering new products that we talked about, right? So we're not going to take this all the way to market. What we're going to do is work with a large ag company. Now we're partnering right now with one, and the press release will be in a week or two, we hope. So I can't name that company right now, but that company also will be updating all their stockholders, and of course they'll want to, as soon as they have successes, they'll tell everybody about it. And all the farmers know this company, so they can go there. But they can go to our website. When we have large milestones that we hit, we'll put it on our website, which is micromgx.com.
What have I not asked about in this conversation that's important?
Well, I think the most important thing you haven't asked about is why this lab? We've already found this molecule. Why do we need a lab if for now we're just going to test it outside? We need this lab because we're going to find many, many more of these. Not just for herbicide, but insecticide, fungicide, nematicide. We're also going to probably find some biostimulants, but we're also going to find some animal health. In our pipeline, we already have one that kills, that is very active against worms in pigs and pets. So we think the animal health companies are going to be very excited about that. So natural products, you don't know what you're going to find until you find it and you test it.